Has the identity of the AEW Devil just been revealed? But first, who left AEW Dynamite as the TNT champion? Last night's episode of Dynamite would be headlined by a bout between two longtime friends, Adam Copeland and Christian Cage. This with the latter's TNT championship on the line. This would be the first time the two men have met one-on-one since 2010. It was Shayna Wayne, the mother of Christian's apprentice Nick Wayne, that made the difference in the end, as she would come down to the ring at the finish of the match, turning on Copeland by striking him with the TNT title belt, allowing Cage to score the pinfall win. In the past, Shayna had been against Christian's brainwashing of her son. However, her decision to eventually side with him could be linked to the recent concerto from Copeland delivered to Nick on the November 22nd episode of Dynamite. The contentious finish will likely set up a rematch at some point in the future, perhaps at the World's End pay-per-view, as the story looks far from over between the two lifelong best friends. And next, the contract of a popular AEW star is coming to an end. Andrade El Idolo would make the jump from WWE to AEW in June 2021, this after he was granted his release earlier that year. Since then, he has failed to pick up any true momentum and was at one stage missing from AEW television for quite some time. This until the introduction of AEW Collision, where he would once again become a regular fixture of All Elite shows, with him currently competing in the Blue League of the Continental Classic Tournament. Dave Meltzer would take to Wrestling Observer Radio this week to provide an update on Andrade's future in the company, revealing that his deal could soon be close to expiring, with there being signs of a potential WWE return. And Dave would say, on Friday night's Arena Mexico show, CMLL did a tease of him going back. He had talked to AAA about going back there and decided to go to CMLL. I think he just wanted to do it because that's where he started, because there's no real money. Even though CMLL's drawing big crowds, there's no real money being paid by CMLL. His AEW deal is coming up relatively soon, unless it's extended or something because of time off for injuries or whatever, but he thinks his deal's up pretty soon, so he wanted to go back to CMLL in case he ends up going to WWE. He's not made a decision about what he's doing next, he's not signed a new deal, but if he does go to WWE, he knows he can't go back to Arena Mexico. It's worth noting that Andrade would debut for AEW in June 2021, which is likely the month that his current deal expires, meaning he could be a free agent come summer 2024 if we assume that he signed a 3-year contract. However, much like Meltzer noted, he has missed some time due to injury, which will mean AEW can add time onto the end of his deal if they so choose. However, we have no confirmation on if this has happened or will happen at any point. Next up, a former WWE champion is set to be out of action for a long time. One of the standouts of the NXT brand in recent times has been Wes Lee. This after he was forced into a singles career following the WWE exit of his longtime tag team partner Nash Carter. Since then, Wes has gone on to hold the NXT North American Championship once, a belt that he was looking to win back this Saturday night at NXT Deadline. With that said, Lee would appear on this past Tuesday's episode of NXT, where he revealed that he will instead be taking time away from the ring in order to undergo back surgery that could keep him on the shelf for 8 to 12 months. Following the promo and the outcry of support from fans, Wes would say to X to write, "Thank you all for the get well wishes. Warms my heart to see the love from y'all. Truly hurt to have to deliver that message, but I promise to also deliver on my claim to return and rep the West Side proudly. Love y'all." With Wes Lee now out of action, this means that he's officially been pulled from the NXT Deadline pay-per-view this weekend and has now been replaced by Dragon Lee in the NXT North American title match against the champion Dominic Mysterio. This will be the third time that the two men have battled for the North American belt this year, with Dirty Dom holding onto the title each time. And speaking of surgeries, we have the latest on the status of an absent former WWE champion. Former WWE Universal Champion Braun Strowman would return to the company in September 2022, just over 1 year after his initial release in June 2021, before he took time off in order to undergo neck surgery in May 2023. Speaking with News 18 this week, the Monster Among Men would provide an update on when we could potentially see him return to the ring, and he would reveal that he's just had his final 5-month checkup with the doctor, and he would meet with one of the best surgeons in the world, and he said, "I did my 5-month checkup and got medically cleared to start lifting weights. The bones are fusing nicely in my neck. I had a cervical fusion on my C4 and C5. They put a metal plate and 4 screws in my neck. I had 4 screws and a metal plate put in my neck. Doc cleared me to start lifting weights again, which was a major blessing because I was going crazy sitting around 8 weeks of doing nothing. I lost 35 pounds just sitting around for 8 weeks because I wasn't eating like I normally do since I wasn't lifting. I didn't need all those extra calories. Now we're trying to put the weight back on. The goal for 2024 is to continue this. As I said, I go back after the first year to have another checkup and then get back in the ring, getting back into shape, then getting back to passing these hands out." Strowman would then be asked if he could come back as early as the Royal Rumble on January 27, and he would respond, "You know, when I'm back, just know that I don't know yet. If I could be back in Rumble, that'd be great, but like I said, I'm at the mercy of the doctors and what they say. I'm listening to them because this was a very serious injury that I had. So slow and steady as the process on the company is so supportive behind me and stuff." Next up, could this popular WWE star be ready to return? Over recent months, there's been a ton of speculation over what the future holds for Mercedes Moné, with her seemingly currently a free agent following a stint in New Japan Pro-Wrestling. While she was injured earlier this year in the finals of the tournament to crown the first ever New Japan Strong Women's Champion, something that was somewhat confirmed by a recent video of Mercedes back inside a training ring. Moné would recently get the internet talking when she changed her Instagram location to read "Look in My Eyes," a clear reference to CM Punk's infamous entrance song, this prior to his eventual arrival at WWE Survivor Series last month. Due to Mercedes' real-life friendship with Punk, it's possible that she knew about the return ahead of time and was giving fans a subtle clue as to what was to come. With that in mind, Moné has once again stirred the pot, this time when she changed her Instagram location to "Light It Up," a reference to the entrance music of Punk's wife and former WWE superstar AJ Lee. Could this be Mercedes potentially hinting at yet another WWE return in the near future? If we take into account a recent report from Fightful Select's Sean Ross Sapp, who revealed that a Mercedes Moné or Sasha Banks return to WWE is much more likely than it was in the summer, with him adding that talks of plans for her to join AEW have gone quiet. Could it be the case that she could be joined by AJ Lee too? It's certainly a stretch, but as we've seen in recent weeks, apparent far-fetched references and clues have been proven to exist, or maybe it's just all a coincidence. And next up, has the identity of the AEW Devil just been revealed? So far in today's news video, we've had a ton of updates regarding the status of injured wrestlers in AEW and WWE, and next we have another on the All Elite side of things. Kyle O'Reilly hasn't been seen inside an AEW ring since his loss to Jon Moxley in the interim world title #1 contendership match on the June 8, 2022 edition of Dynamite, and it was reported that Kyle was forced to undergo neck fusion surgery, something that was followed by further issues that have delayed his recovery. According to a fresh report from Fightful Select, Kyle could be getting closer to a return to screens as he's been spotted backstage at AEW shows over recent weeks, and they would write, "We're told Kyle O'Reilly has been backstage recently and is looking like he could return to programming after a period of it looking quite unlikely. O'Reilly underwent a neck fusion surgery in September 2022, but unfortunately experienced a post-surgical issue in the months that followed. He's been working out with a strength and conditioning specialist for months." In addition to this report, O'Reilly would take to his Instagram story to hint that he's one step closer to wrestling again. Following the announcement that AEW were heading back to Canada for a tour in March and April 2024, Kyle would share the graphic for the dates, adding the caption, "I might be a wrestler again by this time." And one last thing, now that we know Kyle O'Reilly has been backstage at AEW shows as of late, it's worth paying attention to the movement of this Devil's henchman that we saw at ringside last night on AEW Dynamite, as his motion are very similar to that of O'Reilly. Could this be confirmation that Kyle is one of the masked men, perhaps in cahoots with former Undisputed Era teammate Adam Cole? Well, it adds a whole ton of weight to that theory. In other Devil news, MJF, who has found himself as the main target of the masked men over the past few weeks, would come face to face with Hangman Page backstage during his interview with Renee Paquette. In this segment, Max would accuse Hangman of being the one behind the Devil mask, with a later attack on the AEW World Champion cheating via a beer bottle, a potential sign that he could be correct. With that said, this does feel like a red herring. But let me know who you think the devil is in the comments down below. And before you go, make sure you check out 10 facts that MJF doesn't want you to know.